Amos, thank you so much for talking to us. We really appreciate it. I want to just really jump into it. Will the war with Iran restart?
It depends, of course, on the Iranians. The Americans gave them a proposal. It went through Pakistan, maybe China. And as we speak, the Pakistanis are going to Tehran, and they will come with an answer. I guess the answer will not be yes. It will be yes, but. And the but is very important. I think they are looking for some framework of MOU on principles for 30 days of another negotiations. So if the Iranians will compromise on the nuclear issue, on Hormuz, I think the war will not resume. Nobody wants to resume the war, neither Trump nor the Iranians. If the Iranians will continue to be tough as they were until now, the president will be in a huge dilemma.
You advise the government. What is your advice? Do we want the war to restart, or is it better for Iran, the US, and Israel if it doesn't start again?
Yeah. We want to achieve the strategic objectives of this war, which are this regime who is calling to deaths for Israel and deaths for America will not be able to do it, will not be able to use nuclear weapons or ballistic missiles to destroy Israel or to disrupt the stability in the Middle East. So this is the goal. If you can achieve it with a good agreement, this is the preferable option. If you cannot achieve it with a good agreement, if I have to choose between a bad agreement and another try to change the agreement by much more focused and a very precise attack, I think this is the way to do it. But of course, it has to be different from last time.
We're in a ceasefire now. We have seen weeks of war. What did it really achieve? The regime is still intact.
Removing the regime was not a realistic objective. Regimes are not removed by attacking from the air. Regime is removed from the inside, from an opposition at home, or boots on the ground, as it was done in 1945 in Germany or 2003 in Baghdad. So anybody who wanted or envisioned that he will change the regime, his knowledge of history is not deep. However, you can change the regime behavior and you can create conditions that the regime will be weakened and then the opposition will change the regime. But what I'm speaking is not about the regime change. I'm speaking about dealing with the capability of this regime to inflict and project power to destroy Israel and to disrupt the global economy and to be able to close the Strait of Hormuz. All these issues should be dealt whether with a better agreement or with some military operation that were not done until now.
President Trump has said repeatedly that Iran's ballistic missiles, military infrastructure has been badly degraded, and yet we've seen a lot of reporting which suggests otherwise. Which is it?
I think a lot of the capability to launch them was destroyed. And you saw during the war, the Iranian wanted to attack Israel with 300, 500 missiles a day, as they did in April 2024 or in October 2024. Most of their missiles were unable to launch, and we reduced their capabilities to about 10 to 15 a day, and most of them were intercepted. So President Trump and Netanyahu were right about the fact that Iran was not effective with the missiles. However, they kept their missiles in the caves, in the tunnels, under the ground. And now, when there is ceasefire, they can take them out again. But in case the war will continue, I think once again, those who are out about to launch will be destroyed. Those who will hide in the cave, in the tunnels, will not be affected.
There are forces in Iran which also want to see the war restarted because they believe that they can grind the world's economy down, they can keep the Strait of Hormuz closed, and they can punish the region in a way, including Israel, in a way that they did in the past. Isn't that a concern?
I don't think that they want to resume the war. Unlike what is reflected in the Western media, Iran was hit hard. And they know that next time Israel and the US will be much more aggressive. Yes, you're absolutely right. They achieved two asymmetric leverages that they didn't have before, closing the Strait of Hormuz and taking the Gulf state energy sector as a hostages. And they are not going to waste it on going to another war. So what you see is that in both sides, nobody wants to go back to war. However, the US, I think, cannot let Iran go from this war with these two leverage and at its hands, including keeping the uranium. So what we have to look at now is what kind of agreement is taking from Iran the capability to close the Strait of Hormuz, being hostages to the energy sector in the Gulf should be in the agreement. And it will be by default, because since the US is not attacking the Iranian energies, they will not attack the Gulf energy. And it's all go to the nuclear issue, to the uranium. And this is the core. This is the place we all have to focus on. Because if Iran keep the uranium and will be able to resume the nuclear program, this will bring another war for sure. If not from the United States, from Israel.
Was it a mistake for the US and Israel to go to war with Iran?
First, I think the war was not started with the US or Israel. It started from the brave Iranians that went to the street and called for changing this dictatorship, terrorist regime. And then a regime that killed 35,000 Iranians, innocent Iranians in the street. And the president saying help is on the way. So anybody who blames Israel for going to war doesn't understand that Israel was not ready to this war at that time. Israel has to do some more preparation if war was needed in the future. And I think the war was handled in a way that with some mistakes that history will have to debrief. But the jury is still out. The jury is still out. Iran suffered a lot. I think the US and Israel has leverages. And we'll have to see, as we started this conversation, whether the Iranians are accepting what the president is asking them to accept, or they insist on their terms, because they think that they won the war. And I guess in this case, the war will be resumed. Before the Mondial, after the Mondial, I don't know.
If you were a betting man, do you think the war will restart, or we will see some sort of negotiated agreement?
I think the chances for negotiated agreement is higher than the war to start. I think there is a lot of psychological war now going between the two sides. Leaks, threats, promising. Nobody, as I told you, nobody wants to start the war. However, there are red lines to Israel, I guess to the US, and maybe also to the Iranians. And the question is, can they find a deal that will avoid the next war and will prepare maybe the conditions to change this terrorist regime in Iran as it was happening after the 2025 12 days war.